When you reach a point in life where you feel stuck, confused, or tired of repeating the same results, the truth is usually simple. Nothing changes until you decide to change yourself. Most people wait for luck, timing, or someone else to push them forward, but real progress begins the moment you invest in your own growth. This audiobook is designed to help you take that step with clarity, confidence, and purpose. You will hear ideas that push you to look at your habits, your thinking, your decisions, and the way you show up in your daily life. And as you listen, you may notice a quiet shift inside you, because sometimes a single new insight can open a door you didn't even know was there. Before we begin, I want you to stay with this message until the end, because one of the chapters holds a lesson that many people overlook for years. It's a simple idea, but it changes everything once you understand it. If you've ever wondered why some people grow quickly while others struggle for decades, that part will give you the answer, and once you see it, you won't be able to ignore it again. So take a breath, settle in, and allow yourself to explore a version of life where you feel more capable, more focused, and more in control of your future. This is your time. This is your turning point. Let's begin Chapter 1. Build daily habits that steadily strengthen your personal growth. Personal growth does not begin with huge breakthroughs or dramatic turning points. It begins with small actions that you choose to repeat every day. Most people wait for motivation to arrive before they begin improving their lives, but improvement is the foundation that creates motivation. When you commit to building daily habits that support your growth, you begin shifting your identity from someone who wishes for change to someone who actively creates it. Daily habits give you direction, stability, and a sense of purpose. They remind you that no matter how busy your day becomes, you always have the power to build a better version of yourself. Changing your life is not a single event. It is a consistent practice that strengthens your mind, shapes your character, and expands your potential little by little. Many people underestimate the power of daily habits because they seem too small to create a significant change. They look for big solutions, dramatic transformations, or sudden improvements. They want fast results. They want progress that proves itself overnight. When that does not happen, they feel discouraged. They assume growth is impossible for them. The truth is that growth is slow by design. It is slow so that it can be stable. It is slow so that you can build the strength to maintain it. Daily habits are the quiet builders of your future. They do not make noise. They do not demand praise. They simply shape you in the background of your life. Every time you show up for a habit that strengthens you, you teach yourself that you are capable of being consistent, disciplined, and purposeful. You reinforce the belief that you have control over the quality of your life. Building daily habits begins with clarity. You need to understand what you are trying to improve and why it matters. Personal growth does not happen when you chase every new idea or copy what others are doing. It happens when you choose habits that align with your core values and long-term goals. If you want to strengthen your mind, you choose habits that challenge your thinking. If you want to improve your health, you choose habits that support your physical well-being. If you want to build emotional stability, you choose habits that help you manage stress and process your thoughts. The key is to start with habits that matter to you. When a habit has personal meaning, you are more likely to stay committed, even when it feels difficult. A powerful habit does not need to be complicated. In fact, simple habits are the most reliable because they fit into your life without forcing you to change your entire routine overnight. You can begin with something as small as reading for 10 minutes each morning, walking for 15 minutes after work, writing down 3 priorities for the day, or setting aside a few quiet moments to check in with your thoughts. These actions may seem minor, but they shape your mindset in meaningful ways. They remind you that growth is a daily commitment, not an occasional burst of effort. They help you build momentum. They help you stay grounded. They help you stay aware of the direction your life is taking. A common mistake people make when trying to build habits is setting expectations too high. They imagine themselves waking up early, exercising intensely, working for hours without distraction, and maintaining perfect discipline, When they fail to match this idealized version of themselves, they give up. They assume they do not have what it takes. This mindset destroys potential before progress even begins. Instead of chasing perfection, you need to focus on consistency. A habit does not become powerful because you do it perfectly. It becomes powerful because you do it regularly. You show up even when you feel tired. You show up even when your day is stressful. You show up even when the progress feels slow. This commitment builds resilience. It strengthens your self-trust. It teaches you that your effort matters more than your mood. Every habit you practice shapes your identity. When you choose habits that support your growth, you send a message to yourself that you value your future, that you take your life seriously, and that you are willing to work for the person you want to become. Identity is not created through words or wishes. It is created through repeated action. If you commit to reading every day, you become someone who values knowledge. If you commit to moving your body every day, you become someone who values strength and health. If you commit to planning your day each morning, you become someone who values focus and purpose. These shifts in identity give your habits meaning, and meaning makes your habits stronger. When building habits, you need to understand your patterns. You must pay attention to your triggers. What makes you procrastinate? What distracts you? What causes you to lose focus? Self-awareness is a crucial part of personal growth. You cannot improve what you do not understand. If you know that you get distracted by your phone, you create a habit of keeping it away during important tasks. If you know that you lose motivation halfway through the day, you create a habit of taking small breaks to reset your energy. If you know that you struggle to start tasks, you create a habit of breaking them into smaller steps. Growth requires honesty. You need to face your weaknesses without denying them or criticizing yourself. You need to approach your habits with patience and maturity. Another important part of daily habits is building an environment that supports your growth. Your environment influences your behaviors more than you realize. If your surroundings make it difficult to focus, your habits will suffer. If the people around you discourage improvement, your confidence will weaken. Creating an environment that supports your goals is not about controlling everything. It is about making intentional choices that reduce obstacles and increase clarity. This can be as simple as keeping your workspace clean, organizing your daily tools, choosing healthier options at home, or surrounding yourself with people who encourage progress. When your environment supports your habits, you no longer rely solely on willpower. You rely on structure. Your habits will not always feel easy. There will be days when your mind resists the work. There will be mornings when you feel tired, evenings when you feel drained, and moments when you question whether your effort is making any difference. These experiences are normal. They are part of the process. Growth requires discomfort. Improvement requires pushing yourself beyond convenience. When you continue your habits despite resistance, you build mental strength. You prove to yourself that your commitment is stronger than your excuses. You gain confidence by honoring your own promises. This inner strength stays with you. It helps you navigate challenges outside your habits as well. Building habits also teaches you discipline. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done even when you do not feel like doing it. It is a skill that separates those who improve from those who stay stagnant. Every time you follow your habit despite discomfort, you strengthen your discipline. Discipline gives you control over your life. It prevents your emotions from dictating your actions. It keeps you focused during stressful moments. It helps you stay dedicated to long-term goals, even when short-term temptations try to distract you. Without discipline, habits collapse easily. With discipline, habits turn into a lifestyle. Some people worry that building habits will make their lives rigid or boring. They fear losing their freedom. However, habits actually create more freedom. They reduce chaos. They prevent indecision. They help you use your time wisely. They remove the stress of constantly trying to figure out what to do next. When the foundation of your day is built on strong habits, your mind becomes clearer. You make better choices. You feel more prepared for challenges. You approach your goals with confidence instead of fear. Freedom is not the absence of structure. Freedom is the ability to direct your life with intention. As you develop your daily habits, it is important to track your progress. You do not need complex systems. A simple notebook or digital note can help you stay consistent. Tracking your habits reminds you of your commitment. It helps you notice patterns. It shows you where you are improving and where you need adjustment. When you see evidence of your consistency, even if the progress is small, you feel encouraged. You realize that you are building something meaningful. You understand that your daily actions are gradually shaping a new version of you. Tracking keeps you accountable. It reinforces your discipline. It gives you clarity. A powerful habit is one that you can maintain for years. It should fit into your life naturally. If a habit feels impossible to keep, simplify it, shorten the time, reduce the intensity, remove unnecessary steps. Focus on building the routine first. Strength comes later. Many successful people begin with small habits that grow over time. They understand that consistency is the first priority. Once the routine becomes automatic, they increase the challenge. This approach ensures sustainable growth instead of burnout. Personal growth is not only about adding new habits. Sometimes it is about removing harmful habits that hold you back. Distractions, procrastination, negative thinking, and poor time management can cancel out the benefits of positive habits. You need to identify the behaviors that drain your focus, waste your time, or weaken your confidence. Removing these habits creates space for healthier ones. It gives you room to grow. It helps you redirect your energy toward what truly matters. Removing harmful habits is not an act of punishment. It is an act of respect toward your future. Building habits also requires emotional patience. You will face moments of frustration. You will question your progress. You will experience setbacks. You may skip a day. You may slip into old patterns. These moments do not define your journey. What defines your journey is how you respond. You do not give up because of a small mistake. You return to your habits and continue. You treat the experience as feedback, not failure. A mature mind understands that growth is uneven. You advance, you slow down, you continue. What matters is that you keep taking steps forward. Personal growth is not a straight line. It is a steady climb. Habits that strengthen your personal growth must also support your emotional health. If you push yourself too hard without rest, you will burn out. Growth requires balance. You need to build habits that strengthen your mind while respecting your limits. Rest is not a sign of weakness. It is a necessary part of improvement. Sleep, breaks, healthy boundaries, and moments of stillness renew your mental clarity. When you protect your energy, your habits become stronger and more effective. A disciplined mind understands the difference between quitting and resting. Another important part of building habits is recognizing small victories. People often wait to celebrate only the big achievements. But small victories are the ones that shape your identity the most. When you complete a habit for the day, acknowledge it. When you stay consistent for a week, acknowledge it. When you resist a distraction, acknowledge it. These moments reinforce your belief that you are improving. They strengthen your confidence. They remind you that your efforts matter. Celebrating small wins keeps you motivated and grounded. Personal growth through habits also teaches you patience with yourself and with life. Modern society encourages instant results, immediate rewards, and quick solutions. This creates frustration when progress takes time. Daily habits teach you to slow down and respect the process. They show you that meaningful change requires patience. They help you separate what you can control from what you cannot. They teach you to focus on effort instead of worrying about the outcome. This mindset brings clarity. It brings stability. The real power of daily habits appears over time. At first, the differences may be subtle. You may feel slightly more focused, slightly more productive, slightly more confident, slightly more grounded. But as the weeks pass, these small improvements begin to compound. You start noticing that you handle stress better. You stay committed longer. You feel more intentional about your choices. You develop a stronger sense of responsibility. Your old patterns lose their grip. You become someone who grows naturally without forcing it. At this point, your habits are no longer something you do. They become part of who you are. When you invest in your personal growth through daily habits, you are shaping your future self. You are building resilience. You are improving your mindset. You are refining your character. You are increasing your capacity to achieve your goals. You are developing emotional strength. You are preparing yourself for opportunities that you cannot yet see. You are becoming someone who can handle life's challenges with clarity and calmness. This transformation is not sudden. It is earned through repeated effort. There will be days when you feel proud of your growth. There will also be days when you feel discouraged. Both are part of the journey. What matters is the direction you choose. Daily habits give you control over that direction. They prevent you from drifting through life without intention. They help you create a future that aligns with your values. They help you become someone who takes responsibility for their choices. Personal growth is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is the foundation of a meaningful life. As you practice your daily habits, you will notice that your thinking begins to change. You become less reactive and more thoughtful. You become less overwhelmed and more grounded. You begin seeing challenges as opportunities to strengthen yourself. You stop comparing your journey to others and focus on your own progress. You learn to trust the process. You learn to trust yourself. This shift in mindset is one of the greatest rewards of daily habits. It gives you peace. It gives you direction. It gives you purpose. Building daily habits that strengthen your personal growth is a gift you give yourself. It is a commitment to becoming someone stronger, wiser, and more capable. It is a choice to invest in the person you want to become. No one can make this choice for you. No one can do the work on your behalf. The responsibility belongs to you. And that is the beauty of it. You have the power to shape your life. You have the power to grow. You have the power to improve. You have the power to build a future that reflects your highest potential. Every day gives you another opportunity to practice your habits. Some days will feel natural. Other days will feel heavy. But showing up consistently is what strengthens you. It is what builds discipline. It is what shapes your character. Growth is not about speed. It is about direction. As long as you keep moving forward, your life begins to change the moment you decide that improving yourself is non-negotiable. When you choose habits that support your growth, you begin taking control of your future. You begin creating a life guided by purpose instead of impulse. You begin developing the strength needed to face challenges with confidence. You begin building a version of yourself that you can be proud of. Investing in yourself is the foundation of all progress. Daily habits are the tools that make this investment real. Every small step counts. Every bit of effort matters. Every moment of discipline shapes your future. Your habits are not just actions. They are choices that define what kind of life you want to build. When you commit to habits that strengthen your growth, you commit to becoming someone stronger than your past and wiser than your fears. Continue showing up. Continue practicing your habits. Continue choosing growth over comfort. Continue investing in yourself. That is how your life changes. Chapter 2. Choose better thoughts that reshape your entire life direction. Your thoughts guide every choice you make, and the direction of your life follows those choices. When you begin choosing better thoughts, you change the way you react, decide, plan, and move forward. Many people live on autopilot, replaying the same ideas in their minds each day without noticing how much influence those ideas have on their behavior. A single negative thought can shape your mood, your confidence, and even the actions you avoid. A single empowering thought can give you clarity and help you take steps that move you forward. Growth begins when you learn to separate the thoughts that strengthen you from the ones that hold you down. This awareness is the foundation of mental control, and mental control is the foundation of a better life. You gain control over your thoughts by paying attention to the stories you tell yourself. Every person has an inner voice that comments on situations, decisions. Sometimes this voice is helpful. Sometimes it is discouraging. Sometimes it repeats old beliefs that no longer serve your future. Many people never question this inner voice. They assume their thoughts are facts. They assume their fears are accurate. They assume their doubts are real. When you learn to pause and examine your thoughts, you discover that many of them are based on assumptions, past experiences, or emotional reactions rather than truth. This realization gives you freedom. It allows you to choose thoughts that serve your growth instead of limiting it. Choosing better thoughts does not mean forcing yourself to be positive at all times. It means choosing thoughts that help you make wiser decisions. It means choosing thoughts that give you strength when situations become difficult. It means choosing thoughts that keep you focused on what you can control instead of dwelling on what you cannot. A strong mind cannot eliminate discomfort, but it can stay steady through discomfort. A disciplined mind does not collapse at the first sign of stress. Choosing better thoughts trains you to stay grounded and respond with clarity. Your thoughts influence how you interpret challenges. When your thoughts are driven by fear, every obstacle feels impossible. Every setback feels personal. Every delay feels like failure. But when your thoughts are guided by reason, a challenge becomes manageable. A setback becomes a lesson. A delay becomes a part of the process. The same situation can feel completely different, depending on the thoughts you choose. This is why improving your thinking is one of the most powerful steps toward changing your life direction. You cannot control every event, but you can control the meaning you assign to it. Meaning growth requires mental discipline. You cannot allow every emotional impulse to control your thinking. Your first thought in a difficult moment is often automatic. Your second thought is a choice. This is where your power lies. When you pause between stimulus and response, you give yourself room to think clearly. You give yourself space to choose a healthier perspective. You develop the ability to guide your mind instead of letting it wander into fear or frustration. This skill improves over time. The more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. People often underestimate how deeply their daily thoughts influence their long-term direction. A single day of negative thinking may not change much, but months or years of self-doubt take a toll. You begin shrinking your goals. You stop challenging yourself. You settle for less because your thoughts convince you that you are not capable of more. In the same way, a single day of disciplined thinking may not create drastic changes, but months or years of clarity and grounded thought will transform your confidence. You start believing in your potential. You set higher standards. You make decisions that support your growth. This is how choosing better thoughts slowly reshapes your entire life direction. Your thoughts affect your identity. When you repeat a thought enough times, you begin to believe it. If you constantly tell yourself that you are not good enough, you start living in ways that reinforce that narrative. You avoid opportunities. You hide your strengths. You doubt your abilities. But when you choose thoughts that reflect your potential, your behavior begins to match those beliefs. You take responsibility for your actions. You step into challenges with courage. You develop trust in your ability to handle what comes your way. Identity is shaped through thought before it is shaped through action. When you improve the quality of your thoughts, you automatically improve the quality of your actions. Choosing better thoughts requires patience, because your mind is shaped by years of habits. If you have spent a long time believing negative ideas about yourself, it will take time to rewrite those patterns. The process is not about denying your struggles. It is about recognizing that your struggles do not define you. You grow by replacing limiting thoughts with realistic and empowering ones. You train your mind to stop jumping to the worst conclusions. You remind yourself that your future is not decided by your past. You develop the ability to approach difficult situations with a calm and rational perspective. To strengthen your thinking, you need to expose yourself to ideas that expand your awareness. Reading, learning, and seeking knowledge help you develop a deeper understanding of life. They show you new ways of approaching challenges. They provide clarity during confusing situations. They help you recognize that many of your old beliefs were based on fear rather than truth. When you learn consistently, you sharpen your thinking. You become more confident in your decisions. You begin to trust your ability to navigate life with wisdom. Your thoughts also influence the people you allow into your life. When you think lightly of yourself, you tolerate treatment that harms your well-being. When you think with clarity and confidence, you set boundaries that protect your growth. You surround yourself with those who encourage you, instead of those who drain your energy. You choose environments that support your future, instead of reinforcing old patterns. Your thoughts determine your standards. Your standards determine the quality of your relationships. This alone can reshape the direction of your life. Choosing better thoughts helps you remain present, instead of dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. Many people lose valuable time replaying old mistakes or fearing situations that have not yet happened. This constant mental noise creates stress and confusion. When you learn to guide your thoughts, you bring your attention back to the moment in front of you. You focus on what you can do now. You stop carrying the weight of things you cannot control. This presence gives you peace and clarity. It helps you make thoughtful decisions instead of reactive ones. Mental strength grows through repetition. Every time you challenge a negative thought, you weaken its power. Every time you choose a healthier perspective, you strengthen your inner stability. Over time, your mind becomes more disciplined. You become less affected by small frustrations. You handle uncertainty with confidence. You approach challenges with a calm attitude. This mental stability reshapes the direction of your life because it allows you to act from clarity rather than fear. Choosing better thoughts also increases your resilience. Life will always bring difficulties, but the way you think determines how quickly you recover from them. When your thoughts are scattered, challenges overwhelm you. When your thoughts are steady, challenges become experiences you can handle. You stay grounded, you stay logical, you stay aware of your strength. This resilience is not about ignoring pain, it is about facing pain with self-control and wisdom. When your thoughts support your growth, no setback can break your spirit. You can reshape your thoughts by asking yourself strong questions. Instead of asking why something is difficult, ask what you can learn from it. Instead of asking why you feel stuck, ask what step you can take next. Instead of focusing on what you cannot change, focus on what is within your control. These shifts in thinking guide your mind away from helplessness and toward action. They redirect your attention to areas where your choices make a difference. This habit strengthens your ability to think constructively during stressful moments. Your thoughts influence your behavior more than willpower ever could. Most people try to change their lives through action alone, but action without mental clarity is unstable. You must align your thoughts with your goals. If you want discipline, your thoughts must support discipline. If you want confidence, your thoughts must reflect confidence. If you want direction, your thoughts must be organized and intentional. You cannot build a better life on a foundation of chaotic thinking. You build it step by step by choosing thoughts that make you stronger. As your thinking improves, you begin noticing changes in your daily life. You respond to challenges with more patience. You handle mistakes with maturity. You make decisions thoughtfully, instead of impulsively. You stop seeking external approval. You start trusting your judgment. You gain a greater sense of control over your direction. These changes may seem subtle at first, but they accumulate. They strengthen your character. They shape your identity. They lead you toward a future defined by intention rather than reaction. Choosing better thoughts reshapes your life because it reshapes your inner world. When your inner world becomes stable, your outer world follows. You create healthier routines. You choose stronger habits. You approach your goals with clarity. You protect your energy. You make decisions that reflect your values. You build relationships that support your growth. You develop the courage to take steps that once felt intimidating. You begin living with purpose instead of drifting without direction. Your thoughts are the starting point of every transformation. When you guide them with intention, you take control of your future. You stop being controlled by fear, doubt, or past experiences. You start thinking in ways that support your potential. You gain the confidence to design your life instead of waiting for change to happen. This shift in thinking opens the door to new opportunities, stronger discipline, and deeper personal growth. When you choose better thoughts, you choose a better path. Chapter 3. Develop strong discipline that supports every important goal. Discipline is the bridge between who you are today and who you can become. It is the force that keeps you committed to what matters, even when your motivation fades. Many people start with strong intentions, but intentions alone cannot carry them through discomfort or distraction. Discipline becomes the structure that keeps you moving forward when your feelings shift, when challenges arise, and when progress feels slow. Without discipline, your goals remain ideas. With discipline, your ideas turn into consistent action. This shift changes the course of your life because it creates reliability within yourself. You learn that you can count on your own effort, and that trust becomes one of your greatest strengths. Developing discipline begins with accepting that growth requires responsibility. You cannot rely on excuses if you want to achieve anything meaningful. You must be willing to deny short-term comfort in exchange for long-term progress. This does not mean living in harshness. It means valuing the vision you have for your life more than the temporary ease of avoiding effort. When you choose discipline, you choose to stay aligned with your goals, even when the process becomes uncomfortable. You learn to respect your future self by making choices that support your improvement instead of settling for habits that keep you stagnant. Strong discipline is built through consistency rather than intensity. Many people push themselves too hard for a short period of time, then stop because they burned out. Discipline is something you strengthen through daily actions that reinforce your purpose. It grows every time you show up, even when you do not feel like it. It grows every time you complete a task that supports your goals. It grows every time you stay focused when distraction tries to pull you away. These moments may seem small, but together they form the foundation of your character. Consistency creates stability, and stability creates results. To develop discipline, you must create clear standards for yourself. You need to define what you expect from your behavior each day. Without standards, your mind will look for the easiest path, and the easiest path rarely leads to progress. When you establish what you must complete and why it matters, you remove confusion and indecision. You give yourself structure. You eliminate the mental negotiation that often leads to procrastination. A person with strong discipline knows what needs to be done and does it, without relying on fluctuating emotions. Discipline strengthens when you practice doing the right thing even when no one is watching. External pressure can push you to act for a moment, but only internal drive can sustain long-term growth. You grow. You grow when you stay committed behind closed doors. You grow when you complete the boring tasks that are essential but not exciting. You grow when you push yourself to follow through on promises you made to yourself. This is how self-respect is built. A disciplined person does not need applause or approval to do what is necessary. They act out of principle, not performance. You also need to understand that discipline does not mean perfection. You will have days when you fall short. You will face moments when your effort is not as strong as you wanted it to be. What matters is the decision you make after those moments. A person with discipline does not quit because of one setback. They return with more focus. They analyze what went wrong and adjust their approach. They do not waste time attacking themselves or dwelling on failure. They take responsibility and move forward. This ability to recover quickly is what separates disciplined individuals from those who rely only on motivation. Your environment plays a powerful role in your discipline. If your surroundings encourage distraction, it will be difficult to stay consistent. You need a space that supports your goals rather than pulls you away from them. This may involve removing clutter, limiting unnecessary entertainment, or reducing the influence of people who undermine your progress. A disciplined life requires intention. You must protect your focus by shaping an environment that aligns with your priorities. When your surroundings reflect your goals, discipline becomes easier to maintain. Another essential part of developing discipline is understanding the difference between what is urgent and what is important. Urgent tasks often demand your immediate attention, but they are not always connected to your long-term goals. Important tasks are the ones that move your life forward, but they may not always feel urgent. Discipline helps you prioritize what truly matters, even when it is not the most comfortable choice. When you consistently focus on important tasks, you create momentum in your personal growth. You build a life driven by purpose instead of constant reaction. To support your discipline, you must learn how to manage your impulses. Impulses often push you toward actions that satisfy you in the moment but harm your progress in the long run. Whether it is the urge to avoid work, seek pleasure, or escape discomfort, impulses can break your momentum if you give them too much power. Discipline strengthens each time you choose your long-term purpose over temporary relief. You train your mind to pause before acting. This pause gives you clarity and allows you to make decisions based on your values instead of your mood. Strong discipline also requires a clear understanding of your reasons. When you know why your goals matter, you gain the strength to endure difficulty. Your reasons fuel your persistence. They remind you that effort has meaning. They guide your decisions during times when quitting feels easier. Many people fail, not because they lack ability, but because they forget their reasons. When you stay connected to the purpose behind your goals, discipline becomes a natural part of your behavior rather than something you force. Your actions become aligned with something deeper than convenience. You strengthen discipline by mastering small actions before attempting large ones. When you prove to yourself that you can complete simple tasks, you build confidence. This confidence becomes the foundation that supports bigger challenges. Do not underestimate the power of small commitments. Waking up at a consistent time, completing a short task each morning, or dedicating a few minutes to learning every day may seem insignificant. But these actions reshape your identity. They teach your mind that you follow through. They show you that you can build momentum through steady effort. Once you trust yourself with small tasks, you become capable of handling greater responsibilities. Discipline grows stronger when you set boundaries. You must protect your time, your focus, and your energy. When you allow people or distractions to constantly interrupt your progress, your discipline weakens. Setting boundaries does not mean isolating yourself. It means being intentional about what you allow into your life. It means recognizing that every choice has a cost. When you protect your priorities, you create space for stronger commitment. You stop allowing external noise to dictate your direction. You stay rooted in your purpose and maintain control over your time. A disciplined life brings a sense of internal peace. When you know you are doing what needs to be done, you feel grounded. You carry less guilt. You carry less anxiety. You stop seeking shortcuts. You stop feeling disappointed in yourself. Discipline replaces chaos with order. It turns confusion into clarity. It transforms regret into progress. This peace comes from knowing that you are building a future aligned with your highest potential. When you develop strong discipline, you gain freedom. Many people believe discipline is restrictive, but the opposite is true. Discipline frees you from the control of impulses. It frees you from the weight of unfinished tasks. It frees you from guilt and procrastination. It frees you from dependency on motivation. It frees you from the limitations of inconsistency. Discipline gives you control over your life because it makes you the master of your choices rather than a servant to your habits. Your goals deserve the strength that discipline provides. Without discipline, your dreams stay distant. With discipline, you move toward them every day through steady action. You build momentum. You create results. You become someone who follows through. Your confidence grows because it is rooted in your own behavior. You learn that success is not luck. It is the accumulation of disciplined decisions. When you commit to discipline, you commit to a higher version of yourself. You rise above excuses. You take ownership of your life. You create a path built on intention rather than chance. Every important goal becomes reachable because you are willing to do the work required to achieve it. Through discipline, you shape a life that reflects focus, strength, and purpose. You gain the ability to create real and lasting change because you no longer rely on temporary motivation. You rely on the power of consistent action. Chapter 4. Create routines that push you towards steady daily progress. Every day offers a chance to move yourself forward, but that progress rarely comes from randomness or bursts of motivation. It grows out of the structure you build around your life. A routine is not only a schedule, it is a personal system that guides your actions in a steady direction. When you create routines that support your growth, you stop depending on moods and impulses and start relying on clear choices that move you toward improvement. Many people wait for inspiration to arrive before they take action. But the truth is that order creates inspiration far more often than inspiration creates order. When your days have shape, your life gains direction. When your actions have consistency, your results become predictable. When your time is organized, your mind becomes calmer and more focused. A routine is a promise you make to yourself. It signals that you value your goals enough to support them with structure. It becomes a daily commitment that reminds you what matters most. The beauty of a strong routine is that it reduces friction. Instead of debating what you should do next or feeling overwhelmed by choices, you simply follow your plan. This removes unnecessary stress and gives you the freedom to put your energy into the actions that move you forward. A routine does not make your life rigid. It frees you from having to constantly redesign your day. It gives your mind room to think, grow, and create, because the basic rhythm of your life is already handled. When people think about routines, they often imagine something dull or restrictive. But a routine designed for growth is anything but dull. It is a living system that can be adjusted as your goals evolve. It becomes a foundation that supports your personal development. The goal is not to create a perfect schedule. The goal is to build a simple structure that keeps you aligned with your priorities. Each day becomes an opportunity to reinforce the person you want to become by repeating the actions that shape your identity. Over time, those repeated actions form habits, and those habits determine your future. To build a routine that pushes you toward daily progress, you need clarity. Start by understanding what you want your life to move toward. Your routine should reflect your long-term goals in small daily steps. If you want better health, your routine might include movement, balanced eating, and proper rest. If you want more knowledge, your routine might include learning, reading, or practicing a skill. If you want emotional stability, your routine might include quiet reflection, journaling, or meaningful conversation. When your routine is connected to your deeper intentions, it becomes easier to stay committed because every action has purpose. A growth-focused routine is built on priority, not pressure. You do not need to fill your day with countless tasks. You only need to include actions that bring you closer to your goals. Start with a small number of important activities you can repeat daily. The power is not in the number of tasks but in the consistency with which you perform them. Even small actions done every day create strong results over time. Daily progress is about direction, not intensity. When you move in the right direction often enough, you eventually build the life you want. A key part of a strong routine is managing your environment. Your surroundings influence your behavior more than you realize. If your space is crowded, your mind will feel crowded. If your space is clean and organized, your thoughts become clearer. Your environment should support your routine rather than disrupt it. Keep the tools you need within reach. Remove distractions that pull your focus away from what matters. Make your space reflect the kind of person you want to be. When your environment encourages good choices, progress becomes easier. Another important part of routine building is time awareness. Many people underestimate how much time they waste on unplanned decisions or scattered activities. By assigning specific times to important actions, you reduce the chance of forgetting or postponing them. A consistent start time for your day sets the tone for everything that follows. A consistent end time helps you rest and reset. You do not need to schedule every minute, but defining the anchors of your day provides stability. Once you have a stable framework, you can fit your personal priorities within it. Progress becomes much easier when your routine supports your energy. Everyone has natural peaks and dips throughout the day. Some people think clearly in the morning, Some feel more focused in the afternoon or evening. Pay attention to your natural patterns and place your most meaningful tasks during your strongest hours. When you match your routine to your energy, your work becomes smoother and more efficient. This simple adjustment can transform how much you accomplish in a short amount of time. A strong routine also includes moments of stillness. Growth is not only about action, it is also about reflection. Quiet moments allow you to understand yourself, evaluate your progress, and adjust your direction. Without reflection, routines can become automatic, and automatic actions can lose meaning. A few minutes of silence each day can restore clarity and help you stay connected to your goals. This is not wasted time, it is maintenance for your mind. One of the most powerful benefits of a routine is that it protects your focus. When you know exactly what you need to do, you become less vulnerable to distractions. You stop reacting to everything around you and start controlling your responses. Over time, this builds mental strength. You begin to recognize the difference between what helps you grow and what drains your energy. You become more selective about what deserves your attention. This is how routines protect your progress, by filtering out the noise that tries to pull you away from your purpose. A routine built for progress must also be flexible. Life changes, and your routine should be able to adapt. Flexibility prevents frustration and keeps your routine realistic. If you miss a day or need to make adjustments, that is not failure. It is part of living. What matters is that you return to your routine instead of giving up on it. A strong routine bends without breaking. It remains steady even when life becomes chaotic. This resilience keeps your progress alive through challenges. As you follow your routine each day, you strengthen your sense of discipline. You begin to trust yourself more. You prove that you can follow through on your commitments. This creates confidence that spreads into every part of your life. You stop waiting for ideal conditions and start taking responsibility for your own growth. The routine becomes a reflection of your self-respect. You show yourself that your goals are important, your time is valuable, and your life deserves structure. It is important to track your progress in a simple and honest way. You do not need charts or detailed logs. A short daily review is enough. Ask yourself what worked, what needs adjustment, and what you can continue tomorrow. This small check-in keeps you aware of your actions and helps you correct your direction early. Progress rarely comes from big leaps. It comes from consistent adjustments made every day. When you monitor your routine, you protect yourself from drifting away from your goals. Another powerful part of creating a strong routine is learning to say no. A routine that leads to growth cannot survive constant interruptions from unnecessary commitments. Protect your time, protect your focus, protect your energy. You do not need to fill every request or meet every expectation from others. Your routine is built to support your future, not to please everyone. When you say no to what distracts you, you say yes to the life you want to build. With time, a well-designed routine brings stability to your emotions. When your days have order, your mind feels grounded. You experience less chaos and more clarity. You make decisions from a calm place instead of reacting impulsively. You stop rushing through life and start moving with purpose. This creates a sense of peace that becomes one of the greatest rewards of sticking to your routine. Progress feels smoother. Challenges feel more manageable. You become more patient with yourself and more confident in your path. The real power of a strong routine shows itself when you face obstacles. When life becomes difficult, routines keep you steady. They remind you that you have structure, direction, and control. Instead of losing momentum, you continue moving forward in small but meaningful ways. This persistence creates progress even on hard days. A routine is not only for the easy moments, it is your anchor during uncertainty. It keeps your growth alive when everything else feels unstable. A routine that supports daily progress must be deeply personal. It should reflect your values, your goals, and the lifestyle you want to build. Avoid copying someone else's routine. What works for another person may not suit your strengths or circumstances. The best routine is the one you can follow consistently. Build it with honesty, build it with intention, build it with respect for your own pace. When your routine feels aligned with your true self, commitment becomes natural. Over time, your routine becomes more than a daily schedule. It becomes a quiet agreement with yourself. It becomes evidence that you are taking your life seriously. It becomes a sign that you are willing to invest in your own growth. Each completed action builds strength. Each day of consistency builds confidence. Each week of progress builds momentum. This steady climb is how real change happens. You move closer to your goals through repeated actions that reflect your highest intentions. A solid routine turns your goals into habits and your habits into a lifestyle. It transforms the idea of progress into something practical and repeatable. You no longer rely on motivation or luck. You rely on choices, discipline, and consistency. This is how you build a life of steady improvement. This is how you turn potential into reality. This is how you take control of your future. By creating routines that support your progress, you train yourself to move forward every day. You build trust in your own ability to follow through. You reduce stress and increase focus. You give yourself the structure you need to grow with steadiness and strength. A routine is not the end goal. It is the path, and when you walk that path with commitment, your life begins to rise in ways you once thought were out of reach. Chapter 5. Strengthen your mindset to handle challenges with calm confidence. A strong mindset is one of the greatest tools you can develop when facing the challenges that life places in front of you. It allows you to respond instead of react, to think with clarity instead of panic, and to choose action instead of avoidance. Strengthening your mindset does not mean forcing yourself to be emotionless. It means building the inner stability that keeps you grounded even when your circumstances feel unpredictable. When you learn to approach difficult moments with calm confidence, you begin to see that challenges do not have absolute power over your life. They only have the power you give them. And when you decide to control your thoughts, your reactions, and your attitude, you start shaping your experience instead of being shaped by everything around you. Your mindset is formed by what you practice mentally every day. If you practice doubt, fear, or negative assumptions, those patterns grow stronger. If you practice patience, understanding, and logical thinking, those patterns grow stronger instead. Many people allow their thoughts to move freely without direction, but a steady mindset is trained through conscious effort. It develops each time you choose to pause before reacting, or each time you resist the urge to let frustration take over. Every small moment of self-control builds the mental strength you need for larger challenges. When you realize that your thoughts are choices, not commands, you gain a sense of power that changes how you move through the world. One of the most important parts of strengthening your mindset is learning how to stay calm in moments that typically create stress. Calmness does not mean that you ignore problems. Calmness means that you face them from a balanced state, not from emotional chaos. When your mind is calm, you think clearly and respond wisely. When your mind is restless, even small problems look larger than they are. Calmness is a form of strength because it gives you the ability to stay in control of your decisions. You can build this calmness through simple practices like slow breathing, short pauses, or reminding yourself that rapid reactions rarely lead to the best outcomes. Over time, your natural response becomes more grounded because you have trained yourself to approach life with steadiness. Challenges often feel heavy because of the meaning we attach to them. A situation itself is only one part of the difficulty. The rest comes from how we interpret it. If you tell yourself that every struggle is a sign of failure, your mindset will weaken under pressure. But if you tell yourself that every struggle is a test you can pass, your mindset becomes resilient. You begin to see obstacles as part of the process. You no longer take them as personal attacks or confirmations of your limitations. When your interpretation becomes healthier, your emotional response becomes healthier, and your actions become more effective. This shift allows you to move forward even when the path is unclear. A strong mindset also comes from a balanced understanding of what you can control. You cannot control everything around you, but you can control how you respond. You can control your effort, your attitude, your discipline, and your willingness to learn. When you focus on what you can influence, your stress decreases and your confidence increases. Many people become overwhelmed because they spend too much time worrying about outcomes or circumstances that they have no power over. When you redirect your attention to what is within your control, you create progress instead of anxiety. This is a central part of calm confidence, the ability to stay steady by choosing the thoughts and actions that support your growth. Strengthening your mindset also requires setting boundaries with your own emotions. Emotions are natural and important, but they should not dominate your decisions. When frustration or fear tries to take over, you need to pause and ask yourself whether the emotion is guiding you toward a wise response or pulling you into self-sabotage. This pause is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of maturity. It creates space between the situation and your reaction, giving you time to decide how you want to respond. This practice turns emotional impulses into conscious choices. Over time, it becomes a powerful habit that protects your peace and keeps you focused on your goals. Another essential part of developing a strong mindset is building trust in your own ability to handle difficulty. Many people doubt themselves, not because they are incapable, but because they have not recognized their own strength. When you look back on your life, there are moments you once thought you would never overcome, yet you did. That alone is evidence that you are stronger than you often give yourself credit for. A mindset rooted in self-trust makes challenges feel less threatening. Instead of thinking, "I cannot handle this," you begin to think, "I will figure this out step by step." This shift changes everything. It gives you the confidence to continue even when you feel uncertain. Self-trust becomes your internal support system, guiding you through difficult times with steady courage. Calm confidence is built by accepting that challenges are unavoidable. No one moves through life without facing setbacks. When you accept this truth, you stop viewing challenges as unfair interruptions and start viewing them as opportunities to grow. This acceptance frees you from frustration and helps you stay emotionally steady. You understand that difficulty is not a sign that you are off track. It is part of the path. This mindset removes unnecessary resistance and allows you to put your energy into problem solving instead of complaining. You waste less time wishing circumstances were different and direct your focus toward finding a solution. Another key part of strengthening your mindset is learning how to manage self-criticism. Being honest with yourself is necessary, but being overly harsh destroys confidence. A strong mindset comes from balanced self-assessment. You recognize your mistakes without attacking your self-worth. You learn from your choices without making them the definition of who you are. When you treat yourself with fairness, you create mental space to grow. You stop letting fear of failure paralyze you because you know that mistakes are part of learning, not evidence that you are unworthy or incapable. This balanced approach helps you stay calm, focused, and willing to try again. A powerful mindset is also built through exposure to new ideas. When you learn, you expand your thinking. When you expand your thinking, you gain new ways to approach challenges. Reading, listening, observing, and reflecting keep your mind flexible. Flexibility is important because rigid thinking makes challenges feel impossible, while flexible thinking helps you adapt. A flexible mind sees more options. It is willing to adjust strategies without losing sight of the overall goal. This adaptability gives you confidence because you know that even if your first plan fails, you have the ability to find another way. Strengthening your mindset also requires surrounding yourself with stability. The people you interact with influence your thinking more than you realize. If you spend time with individuals who panic easily, complain constantly, or avoid responsibility, you will absorb some of those patterns. If you spend time with people who stay calm under pressure, think clearly, and focus on solutions, you will absorb those patterns instead. You do not need large groups of people around you. You only need a few individuals who encourage growth and support healthy thinking. Your environment plays a major role in the kind of mindset you build. A strong mindset is also connected to self-respect. When you treat yourself with discipline, healthy routines, and clear intentions, Your mind starts to trust your choices. That trust becomes inner strength. When your actions match your goals, your mindset aligns with confidence. You feel more capable because you are living in a way that reflects your values. This alignment reduces internal conflict and strengthens your ability to handle challenges without losing your sense of direction. Calm confidence also grows from accepting that you cannot rush results. Challenges often feel heavier when you expect instant solutions. A steady mindset understands that progress takes time. It focuses on actions rather than impatience. It values consistency over urgency. This perspective brings peace because you are no longer fighting the reality that growth requires patience. When you stop demanding instant outcomes, you start appreciating the steps you can take today. This shift makes challenges feel more manageable because you focus on progress, not pressure. To strengthen your mindset further, practice the habit of reframing difficulties. When something goes wrong, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" This reframing shifts your mental state from helplessness to curiosity. Curiosity is a powerful tool because it keeps your mind open. It encourages you to search for answers instead of giving up. This habit makes you more resilient and allows you to stay composed during situations that once felt overwhelming. Calm confidence is also rooted in preparation. When you prepare for challenges mentally, you reduce anxiety. You understand that obstacles may come, but you feel ready to face them. Preparation might involve strengthening your skills, improving your habits, or reviewing your goals. The more prepared you are, the more controlled your responses become. A prepared mind does not panic easily because it knows it has tools to rely on. As you continue to strengthen your mindset, you will notice that challenges no longer define your days. You begin to approach life with a stable sense of inner direction. You think more clearly, react more wisely, and make decisions from a grounded emotional state. You become more patient, more focused, and more resilient. This inner stability becomes a quiet source of strength that supports you through all conditions. A strong mindset does not guarantee a life without difficulty, but it guarantees that you will face difficulty with courage. It gives you the ability to stay centered in the middle of pressure. It empowers you to handle uncertainty without losing your sense of control. It allows you to move forward even when the path feels unclear. Calm confidence becomes your natural state because you have built your inner foundation on discipline, clarity, and emotional balance. When you strengthen your mindset, you build a life where challenges no longer break you. They shape you, they teach you, they refine your character, and every time you navigate a difficult moment with calm confidence, you rise a little higher, becoming the person you were always capable of becoming. Chapter 6. Practice self-care that restores your energy and focus. Taking care of yourself is one of the most important responsibilities you have. Yet it is often the first thing people ignore when life becomes busy or stressful. Many treat self-care as a luxury instead of a requirement. But your energy and focus depend on the way you support your body and mind each day. When you neglect your well-being, everything else becomes harder. Simple tasks feel overwhelming. Patience runs thin and motivation declines. But when you give yourself consistent care, you operate with clarity, strength, and stability. You handle pressure with more ease. You think more clearly, and you feel grounded enough to pursue your goals with steady determination. Practicing self-care is not about escaping responsibility. It is about equipping yourself to face life with the strength you need. Self-care begins with understanding that you are not a machine. You cannot perform endlessly without rest. Your mind needs breaks, your emotions need space, and your body needs recovery. When you push yourself without balance, your energy drains faster than it can be restored. Over time, this leads to frustration, confusion, and burnout. A healthy routine protects you from this downward cycle by giving you the time, space, and nourishment you need to function at your best. It is not selfish to care for yourself. It is responsible, it is wise, and it is necessary for long-term growth. One of the most powerful ways to practice self-care is to establish clear boundaries with your time and attention. Many people exhaust themselves because they say yes to everything. They spread themselves thin trying to please others, and as a result they lose their sense of balance. When you set boundaries, you give yourself permission to protect your energy. You learn to say no when a request does not align with your priorities. You learn to distance yourself from people or activities that drain you. Boundaries help you show up as a better version of yourself because you are not running on empty. When you protect your time, you create space to rest, reflect, and recharge. Another crucial part of self-care is giving your body the treatment it needs to stay strong. Energy and focus depend on physical well-being. When you eat nourishing foods, your mind becomes clearer and your mood becomes more stable. When you stay hydrated, your ability to think and concentrate improves. When you move your body regularly, your stress decreases and your energy increases. These habits do not require extreme effort. Small choices performed consistently create a powerful foundation. Even short walks, simple stretches or light exercise can strengthen your mindset and help you feel more awake and capable. Rest is also a vital form of self-care. Many people underestimate the importance of sleep, but it is one of the strongest tools you have to restore your energy and focus. Without enough sleep, your thoughts become scattered, your reactions become faster than your reasoning, and your patience becomes thin. With proper rest, your mind works smoothly, your emotions stay balanced, and your productivity increases. Sleep is not wasted time. It is the period when your body repairs itself and your mind processes everything you have experienced. Treating rest as a requirement instead of an option will transform the way you function every day. Another meaningful form of self-care is creating moments of stillness. The world moves quickly, and constant noise can overwhelm even the strongest mind. When you take a few minutes to pause, breathe, and quiet your thoughts, you give yourself a chance to reset. Stillness can be simple. Sitting in silence, taking slow breaths, closing your eyes, or spending time in nature can help you recenter your mind. These moments create space between you and your stress. They remind you that you do not need to carry everything at once. Stillness gives you clarity, and clarity strengthens your focus. Self-care also includes managing your internal dialogue. The way you speak to yourself influences your confidence, your mood, and your energy. If your thoughts are harsh, critical, or dismissive, you create emotional tension that drains you. A healthier inner voice guides you with encouragement, honesty, and understanding. Treating yourself with respect does not mean avoiding responsibility. It means recognizing your worth and supporting your progress. When your inner dialogue becomes kinder, your mind becomes lighter. You feel more capable, more stable, and more prepared to face your challenges. Your environment also plays an important role in your self-care. The spaces you spend time in affect your mood and mental clarity. A cluttered room can create a cluttered mind, while an organized space can make you feel calm and focused. Maintaining a clean environment is not about perfection. It is about creating a space that supports your peace. Small tasks like making your bed, clearing your desk, or organizing your materials can give you a sense of control and stability. These actions help you move through your day with more ease and direction. Another essential part of restoring your energy and focus is giving yourself moments of enjoyment. Life becomes more balanced when you allow yourself to experience joy without guilt. Enjoyment does not need to be expensive or complicated. It can come from simple activities that make you feel good. Listening to music, reading, cooking, creative hobbies, or spending time with people you trust can refresh your mind. Joy reminds you that life is not only about achieving goals, but also about living fully in the present. When you give yourself permission to experience moments of happiness, your energy rises naturally. Self-care also requires emotional awareness. You cannot improve your well-being if you ignore what you feel. When difficult emotions arise, acknowledge them without judgment. This allows you to understand your needs, instead of pushing your feelings aside. Emotional awareness helps you respond in healthier ways. Instead of reacting out of frustration, You respond with clarity. Instead of suppressing sadness or stress, you address them with care. Understanding your emotions gives you the ability to deal with challenges without overwhelming yourself. Another overlooked form of self-care is managing digital habits. Constant exposure to screens, notifications, and online noise can drain your energy without you realizing it. Giving yourself breaks from digital distractions allows your mind to reset. It helps you regain focus and prevents mental fatigue. You do not need to disconnect completely. You only need to create balance. Setting specific times for digital use, turning off non-essential notifications, or spending time offline before bed can significantly improve how you feel. One of the most powerful aspects of self-care is recognizing when you need support. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of responsibility. Whether you need guidance, comfort, or a simple conversation, reaching out can restore your emotional strength. You do not need to carry every burden alone. Sharing your thoughts with someone you trust can provide perspective and lighten your emotional load. Support strengthens resilience, and resilience strengthens your ability to stay focused on your goals. As you practice self-care consistently, you begin to notice a transformation in the way you show up in life. You handle challenges with more patience. You think more clearly. You feel more balanced and capable. You respond to stress with steadiness instead of panic. Your mindset becomes stronger because you are no longer operating from exhaustion. You become more productive because your mind is rested and refreshed. And most importantly, you become more connected to yourself. Restoring your energy and focus is not something you achieve once. It is something you build daily. Small choices add up. Consistent routines create stability, and a commitment to your well-being helps you face life from a place of strength. When you take care of yourself, you become more aligned with your goals, more confident in your abilities, and more capable of creating the life you want. Self-care is not an interruption to your progress. It is the foundation that makes progress possible. Chapter 7. Set clear goals that guide your actions every day. When you set clear goals, you give your days a sense of direction that cannot be created by hope alone. You wake up with clarity instead of confusion. You know exactly what you want your actions to accomplish, and you no longer waste energy guessing what matters or bouncing between tasks that take you nowhere. A goal is more than a sentence on a page. It is a guide for how you think, how you choose, and how you move through each hour. When you decide what you want with honesty and precision, you remove the fog that keeps people drifting. You feel a rise in determination because your mind suddenly understands its mission. This gives you discipline not through force, but through purpose. Think about how different your day becomes when you have a destination. Your decisions finally have a filter. You stop reacting to every distraction because you can instantly measure whether something aligns with your direction or pulls you off course. This one change alone saves you time, protects your focus, and conserves your emotional energy. Instead of getting overwhelmed by too many options, you narrow your attention to the few steps that move you forward. There is a calm confidence that comes with this clarity. Even if the path feels long, you know you're at least walking towards something meaningful. Setting clear goals is also an act of honesty. You must admit what you truly want, not what sounds impressive or what others expect from you. Many people avoid clear goals because clarity removes excuses. Once you define your target, you can no longer pretend you don't know what to do. You can no longer hide behind vague plans. You must face the truth of whether your daily actions match your aspirations. But this honesty is liberating. It frees you from self-doubt and indecision. You start seeing progress where you once saw hesitation. When you write your goals down, your mind begins organizing your thoughts around them. You start noticing opportunities you ignored before. You catch yourself choosing better habits without forcing them. Your brain naturally prefers alignment, and when you give it a clear direction, it adjusts your behavior in ways that support your vision. A written goal is a commitment to yourself, and every time you look at it, you strengthen the bond between intention and action. Each goal should be specific enough that you know when you are making progress. If your goal is too vague, Your mind doesn't know how to measure success, and you end up feeling stuck even when you are moving forward. But when your goal is precise, every small step feels meaningful. You begin experiencing regular moments of success, which fuel motivation and reinforce discipline. The more clearly you define the outcome, the easier it becomes to take the next step without hesitation. But setting a goal isn't enough. Your actions must support it daily. You don't need to make huge leaps. You need consistent movement. Even 10 minutes of deliberate work builds momentum. The purpose of having a clear goal is to ensure your energy is invested wisely. You stop wasting time on actions that look productive but don't actually move you forward. You start valuing quality over quantity. You learn that progress is not measured by how busy you are, but by how aligned your actions are with your purpose. As you work toward a clear goal, you will also notice how your relationship with failure changes. When you're drifting, failure feels like evidence that you should give up, but when you have a direction, failure becomes information. You adjust, you evaluate, you correct your course. Your confidence no longer depends on perfection. It comes from knowing that you are committed to the journey. Goals help you stay grounded when challenges arise, because they remind you why you started. You stop interpreting obstacles as personal flaws and start seeing them as part of the process. Clear goals also help you protect your time. You begin saying no with confidence. You stop feeling guilty for prioritizing what matters. You no longer stretch yourself thin trying to please everyone, because you understand the cost of losing focus. Every yes now has a purpose. You commit only to what supports your progress. This creates a sense of control over your life that many people never experience. You realize your time is valuable, and you treat it with respect. A strong goal aligns not only with your ambitions, but also with your values. When your goals reflect who you are and who you want to become, your actions feel meaningful. You don't feel forced to work. You feel pulled by your purpose. The effort becomes satisfying rather than draining. You develop resilience because your goal is rooted in something deeper than convenience. Even on difficult days, you keep going because the direction holds significance for you. You should revisit your goals regularly. This doesn't mean changing them constantly. It means staying aware of whether they still represent what you want. Growth can shift your priorities, and you must be honest enough to adjust when needed. Reviewing your goals keeps you connected to your purpose and prevents you from drifting off track. It allows you to correct your steps early instead of waiting until frustration builds. As you stay committed to your goals, something powerful happens. Your confidence grows. Not because everything becomes easier, but because you develop trust in yourself. Each day of consistent action proves that you can rely on your discipline. You no longer wait for motivation to strike. You take action because action has become part of who you are. Your goal becomes part of your identity, and your identity drives your behavior naturally. Clear goals also help you appreciate your progress. You begin noticing improvements you previously overlooked. You recognize your growth, both internal and external. You realize that even the smallest actions have value when they are aligned with your direction. This builds gratitude, which keeps you motivated and grounded. Your journey becomes a collection of meaningful steps instead of random effort. In time, the discipline you build from working toward your goals spills into other areas of your life. You gain the ability to think long-term. You make wiser decisions. You develop patience. You understand the connection between effort and reward with more clarity than ever before. You become someone who moves with intention rather than impulse. You build a mindset that supports your success instead of sabotaging it. When you commit to clear goals, you commit to a better version of yourself. You choose growth over comfort. You choose direction over drifting. You choose responsibility over excuses. And each day, you reinforce this choice through your actions. This is how transformation happens. Not all at once, but gradually through awareness, direction, and disciplined movement. When your goals guide your days, you don't just work harder, you work smarter. You don't just get things done, you get the right things done, and you begin shaping a life that reflects your true potential. If you continue honoring these goals with consistency and integrity, you will eventually reach them. But more importantly, you will evolve into someone capable, focused, and confident. Your goals give you something to pursue, but along the way, they also shape the person you become, and that transformation is the real reward. Chapter 8. Learn new skills that expand your opportunities in life. Learning new skills is one of the strongest ways to open doors you never even knew existed. Life expands for the people who keep growing, who keep adding tools to their mind, who stay curious enough to explore abilities they haven't developed yet. When you choose to learn something new, you send a message to yourself that your potential isn't fixed, that you are not limited to what you already know, and that you are willing to evolve beyond your comfort zone. This mindset puts you ahead of most people because many settle into routines that never challenge them. But the moment you decide to stretch your abilities, your world becomes bigger. There's a certain excitement that comes from starting something unfamiliar. At first, it might feel slow, unsure, or awkward, but those early moments are where confidence begins. Every skill has a learning curve, and embracing that curve builds resilience. When you allow yourself to be a beginner again, you remove the pressure of perfection and give yourself permission to grow without judgment. This attitude strengthens your character because it teaches patience, focus, and humility. The skill you gain is important, but the mindset you develop is even more valuable. Each new skill adds layers to your identity. You become more capable, more adaptable, and more prepared for unexpected opportunities. Many breakthroughs in life come from a skill you didn't take seriously at first, something small you learned out of curiosity that later becomes useful in ways you never predicted. Skills compound over time. One leads to another, and together they form a foundation of competence that makes you stand out. You gain the ability to connect ideas, solve problems creatively, and approach challenges with confidence, because you're used to learning, adjusting, and trying again. As you learn, you also discover how much more you are capable of. Most people underestimate their ability to grow. They assume learning is only for the young or the gifted, but that belief is limiting. Your brain remains capable of change throughout your life, and the more you challenge it, the sharper it becomes. A new skill strengthens your focus and improves your ability to absorb information. It trains your mind to stay alert and responsive. This keeps you mentally active and emotionally engaged in life. Learning is one of the best ways to stay energized. It's also empowering to know that you can reinvent yourself at any time. You don't have to remain defined by your past choices or your old limitations. A new skill can shift your direction, giving you access to paths that once seemed unreachable. Whether it's something practical, creative, physical, or intellectual, the act of learning creates momentum. It breaks stagnation. It renews your sense of purpose. It reminds you that life isn't finished, and you still have more to create, more to experience, and more to achieve. The process of learning teaches you the value of consistency. When you practice regularly, you start noticing improvements that once felt impossible. You understand the power of small, continuous effort. Each session builds on the last, and soon the skill that once felt overwhelming becomes something you can rely on. This experience strengthens your belief in steady progress, which becomes useful in every area of your life. You start trusting your ability to follow through. As you develop new abilities, you also become more confident in uncertain situations. You stop feeling intimidated by challenges because you know you can figure things out. You've trained your mind to adapt. You've proven to yourself that you're capable of understanding complex things and applying them in practical ways. This confidence becomes one of your greatest assets. It allows you to take risks you once avoided. It helps you stay calm when you face something unfamiliar. You learn to replace fear with curiosity. When you learn something new, you deepen your sense of independence. You no longer feel limited by what you don't know. If you need a skill, you learn it. If you face a problem, you research solutions. You stop relying on others to do everything for you. This independence strengthens your self-worth because you recognize that you have the power to shape your own growth. You stop seeing yourself as a passive participant in life and begin acting like someone who has control over their future. The journey of learning also helps you meet new people who share your interests or goals. Each skill creates connections, teachers, mentors, communities, and peers who expand your perspective. These relationships often lead to friendships, opportunities, and insights that enrich your life. Surrounding yourself with others who value growth inspires you to keep moving forward. You learn from their experiences, and they learn from yours. This exchange keeps you motivated and makes learning more enjoyable. Sometimes, the most surprising opportunities come from skills that seem unrelated on the surface. A small interest in writing might improve your communication. A hobby in photography might sharpen your attention to detail. A new language might open doors to cultures and relationships you never would have experienced. A technical skill might lead to work that increases your financial stability. You never know which skill will change your life, so it's wise to keep expanding your abilities. What matters most is the courage to begin. The first step might feel uncertain, but that uncertainty is where growth happens. Every expert started as a beginner. Every talent began with confusion, mistakes, and slow progress. What separates those who grow from those who stay stuck is the willingness to take the first step and keep going until the skill becomes familiar. Each time you push through that initial discomfort, you strengthen your inner discipline. As you build new skills, you naturally raise your standards. You become someone who expects more from yourself. You stop tolerating habits that limit your growth. You begin prioritizing tasks that challenge you. Instead of settling for what feels easy, you gain a sense of pride from knowing you are developing abilities that can contribute to your future. This pride encourages you to aim higher and become more intentional about how you spend your time. Learning also protects you from feeling stagnant or unfulfilled. When you invest in new skills, you keep your life moving forward. There is always something to explore, something to improve, something to understand. This movement keeps your mind engaged and your spirit active. It prevents boredom from turning into frustration. It keeps you hopeful because you always have something to build toward. One of the greatest benefits of learning new skills is how it transforms your belief in what is possible. Once you master one new ability, you begin seeing yourself differently. You start thinking, if I learned this, I can learn something else too. This belief becomes powerful. It fuels ambition. It pushes you to set higher goals. It gives you the courage to take on bigger challenges. You stop seeing limits and start seeing possibilities. In time, the skills you collect form a foundation that supports your dreams. They become the tools you use to create opportunities rather than wait for them. They strengthen your mind, expand your confidence, and increase your value in the world. Each skill becomes a stepping stone that leads you closer to a future filled with choices rather than restrictions. When you commit to lifelong learning, you commit to lifelong growth. You show yourself that every stage of life holds potential. You prove that your abilities are not fixed. You remind yourself that you can evolve continually, adapt gracefully, and move forward with purpose. Learning new skills doesn't just expand your opportunities, it expands you, and the more you grow, the more life opens up in ways you never imagined. Chapter 9. Take bold actions that move you closer to success. Taking bold action is the moment where your intentions stop being ideas and start becoming change. It is the shift from thinking to moving, from hoping to doing, from waiting to creating. Many people live their entire lives imagining what they want, but never stepping toward it, because bold action feels risky. It feels uncertain. It forces you to leave the comfort of routine. But the truth is that every meaningful achievement in life requires a moment where you choose courage over comfort. Nothing moves until you do. Your progress depends on the choices you make, the steps you take, and the decisions you commit to, even when you don't feel fully ready. Bold action is not about recklessness. It is about choosing movement when standing still no longer serves your growth. It is about listening to the quiet voice inside you that says you are capable of more, even when your doubts try to convince you otherwise. It is about trusting your ability to learn, adjust, and overcome obstacles as they appear, instead of waiting for a perfect moment that will never arrive. Growth comes from engaging with life, not observing from a distance. When you act boldly, you give yourself permission to shape your future, instead of letting circumstances decide it for you. The first step in taking bold action is understanding that fear is a natural part of the process. Fear shows up whenever you attempt something meaningful. It appears because you care about the outcome. It appears because you're stepping outside the familiar. Instead of seeing fear as a warning to stop, treat it as proof that you're moving in a direction that matters. You don't need to eliminate fear to take action. You simply need to move with it. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to act without letting fear limit your potential. Every bold action begins with a clear decision. A decision to stop hesitating. A decision to stop questioning your worth. A decision to stop postponing the steps that will lead you to the life you want. This decision marks a turning point, because once you decide, your energy shifts, your attention sharpens. Your determination grows. You stop thinking in circles and start creating momentum. A single decision, made with intention, can change your entire direction. Once you make that decision, you start breaking your objective into steps you can actually take. Bold action does not always mean giant leaps. Often it means consistent movements forward, even if those movements are small. A small step done with commitment has more power than a big idea that never leaves your mind. When you move in small, steady actions, you build confidence, you build strength, you build proof that you are capable of moving forward. This proof becomes fuel for even bolder steps later on. Taking bold action requires embracing discomfort. Growth always demands something from you. Sometimes it asks for time. Sometimes it asks for discipline. Sometimes it asks for the willingness to fail. Many people avoid bold action because they fear making mistakes, but mistakes are not evidence of inadequacy. They are evidence of effort. Every skill, success, and achievement is built through trial, correction, and persistence. The willingness to be imperfect is a powerful advantage because it frees you from the unrealistic pressure to get everything right on the first try. The more you practice taking bold action, the easier it becomes. You train your mind to respond to opportunities instead of avoiding them. You become someone who acts instead of someone who hesitates. This shift in identity is powerful because your habits follow your beliefs. When you see yourself as a person who takes bold steps, you start behaving in alignment with that belief. You speak up when needed. You seize chances. You introduce yourself to new environments. You challenge your old limits. You stop shrinking yourself to fit the expectations of others and begin expanding toward your own goals. Bold action also requires honesty. You must be honest about what you want, honest about what you're avoiding, and honest about what you need to improve. When you avoid honesty, you avoid growth. You stay stuck in patterns that no longer serve you. Honest action brings clarity because it helps you recognize the steps that actually matter. You stop investing time in distractions and start focusing on movements that push you forward. Progress accelerates when you engage with truth rather than comfort. There will be moments when bold action feels overwhelming. You may face setbacks, delays, or challenges that test your patience. This is where resilience becomes essential. Bold action is not a one-time event. It is a continuous practice. You take a step, you learn, you adjust, and you take another step. You strengthen your endurance by showing up again and again, even when the process feels slow. Success rarely arrives in a straight line. It emerges through cycles of effort, reflection, and renewed commitment. As you continue taking bold action, you start noticing changes in your confidence. Each movement forward gives you more certainty in your abilities. You stop relying on motivation and start relying on discipline. You stop hoping for confidence to appear before taking action and instead create confidence through action. This shift is life-changing. Most people believe they need to feel ready before starting, but readiness is built through doing. When you take bold action, even when you feel unsure, you build the emotional strength that supports long-term success. Bold action also reshapes your relationship with opportunity. You begin to see possibilities everywhere. You recognize that many doors stay closed, not because they are locked, but because people do not knock. When you take initiative, you create chances that would not have existed otherwise. You meet people who expand your network. You learn lessons that elevate your skills. You experience breakthroughs that only appear to those who are willing to take the first step. Opportunity responds to action. It rarely appears for those who wait passively. The more boldly you act, the more you separate yourself from the habits that keep others stuck. Most people settle for comfort because they fear uncertainty. They repeat the same days, the same routines, and the same choices because it feels safe. But safety is not the same as fulfillment. Safety can become a trap. When you choose bold action, you choose growth over stagnation. You choose effort over avoidance. You choose progress over familiarity. You become someone who takes control of their life instead of letting time pass without meaning. There will always be obstacles, but taking bold action helps you face them with strength. Instead of seeing challenges as reasons to stop, you see them as parts of the journey. You learn to adapt, adjust, and continue moving. This mindset protects you from quitting too early. It keeps you grounded in your purpose. It reminds you that meaningful goals require persistence. With every obstacle you overcome, your resilience grows. You begin realizing that you are capable of handling more than you thought. Another benefit of bold action is how it reshapes your daily focus. When you commit to decisive steps, you become more intentional about how you use your time. You stop wasting hours on activities that don't align with your goals. You become more protective of your energy. You begin prioritizing tasks that bring you closer to the future you want. This clarity sharpens your direction and makes your progress faster. Bold action also improves your emotional strength. When you face situations that challenge you, you learn to handle discomfort without breaking down. You learn to stay steady in uncertainty. You learn to trust yourself in difficult moments. These emotional skills are just as important as practical skills because success requires a strong inner foundation. The more boldly you act, the more you grow emotionally anchored. You stop reacting from fear and start responding from confidence. As you move boldly, you inspire others as well. People notice when someone is willing to take chances. They feel encouraged when they see someone actively shaping their own life. Your actions can motivate friends, family, or even strangers to push beyond their own limitations. Leading by example is one of the most powerful forms of influence. You become proof that progress is possible. Taking bold action also strengthens your connection with your future self. You begin thinking in terms of long-term growth rather than temporary comfort. You make decisions based on who you want to become rather than who you have been. You stop letting your past define your possibilities and start letting your goals shape your direction. Each bold step becomes a vote for the person you are striving to be. The most important part of taking bold action is consistency. A single bold moment can start the journey, but repeated bold moments build the life you want. You continue stepping forward even when progress feels slow. You continue taking initiative even when results haven't shown up yet. You continue believing in your ability to grow even when challenges appear. This persistence turns ordinary actions into extraordinary outcomes. Bold action moves you closer to success because it forces you to engage with your potential. Instead of hiding from it, it turns dreams into steps and steps into achievements. It strengthens your character and widens your opportunities. It teaches you that growth comes from commitment, not comfort. When you take bold actions, you stop being a spectator and become the creator of your life. You move with purpose, direction, and confidence, and step by step, action by action, you shape a future that reflects your strengths, your values, and your determination to succeed. Chapter 10. Reflect on choices to understand how to grow faster. Reflection is one of the most powerful tools for personal growth because it gives you the ability to understand your choices, your patterns, and the direction your life is taking. Many people move through their days without slowing down long enough to examine why they do what they do. They repeat the same behaviors, face the same problems, and wonder why nothing changes. But lasting improvement begins when you pause and look inward. With honesty, reflection is not about judging yourself. It is about gaining insight so you can grow with clarity instead of guessing your way forward. When you reflect on your choices, you recognize what supports your progress and what pulls you backward. You create awareness that becomes the foundation for faster and more meaningful change. Growth accelerates when you understand the reasons behind your actions. Every choice you make carries a consequence, and those consequences shape your progress. When you understand the link between your behavior and your results, you gain control over your direction. You begin seeing which habits lift your energy and which drain it. You recognize which routines strengthen your discipline and which weaken your focus. This awareness helps you take responsibility for your path instead of blaming circumstances. Responsibility is empowering because it gives you the ability to choose differently. Reflection turns vague goals into precise adjustments that move you forward. To reflect effectively, you must create space for quiet thinking. Modern life encourages constant stimulation and distraction, making it difficult to hear your own thoughts. When you give yourself moments of stillness, you create the clarity needed to understand what truly matters. You begin noticing patterns you missed before. You see where you acted impulsively, where you avoided responsibility, or where you made choices that aligned with your values. These moments of awareness help you build healthier habits because you start choosing with intention instead of reacting without thought. Reflection also helps you understand the lessons hidden within your mistakes. Mistakes are not failures, they are information. They reveal what needs improvement and what requires adjustment. When you reflect on a mistake with honesty, you gain insight that helps you avoid repeating it. You learn where your weaknesses lie and how to strengthen them. You learn where your emotions cloud your judgment and how to stay grounded. You learn where fear influenced your decisions and how to act with more courage next time. Growth becomes faster because you no longer waste time walking in circles. You learn, adjust, and move forward with purpose. Another benefit of reflection is that it reveals your strengths. People often overlook their progress because they focus only on flaws. But when you take time to reflect, you also notice how far you've come. You see the habits you've improved, the challenges you've overcome, and the steps you've taken toward becoming a stronger version of yourself. Recognizing your strengths gives you confidence, and confidence leads to better decisions. When you know you are capable, you stop doubting your ability to grow. You start believing in your potential, which influences every action you take. Reflection deepens self-awareness, and self-awareness is essential for personal growth. Without understanding your own mind, you cannot guide your life effectively. Reflection helps you uncover your motivations, fears, triggers, and desires. It helps you understand why you respond to situations in certain ways and how to respond more wisely. This understanding helps you grow faster because you begin to see the internal blocks that slow you down. You can only change what you are aware of. Reflection brings these hidden patterns into the light so you can work on them with clarity. Reflecting on your choices also helps you align your actions with your values. Many people want to grow but act in ways that contradict their deeper goals. They want discipline but choose distractions. They want success but avoid effort. They want peace but stay around negativity. When you reflect, you notice these contradictions. You begin adjusting your behavior to support what you truly want. When your actions match your values, growth becomes smoother. You stop fighting against yourself and start moving with direction. Reflection helps you understand what needs to be left behind. Not every habit, belief, or relationship supports your growth. Some things served you once but no longer fit who you are becoming. When you reflect honestly, you recognize what no longer benefits your development. You understand which habits slow your progress. You see which relationships drain your energy. You realize which routines keep you stuck in old patterns. This awareness gives you the courage to release what no longer helps you grow. Letting go becomes easier because you understand the cost of holding on. Consistent reflection sharpens your discipline. When you know you will evaluate your actions at the end of the day, you naturally make better choices. You become more intentional with your behavior. Reflection acts as an internal guide that keeps you aligned with your long-term goals. It reminds you of the standards you set for yourself. It encourages you to stay committed, even when motivation fades. Over time, this practice strengthens your sense of responsibility and keeps your growth steady. Reflection improves your emotional strength as well. When you observe your emotions instead of suppressing them, you learn how they influence your decisions. You understand what triggers stress, anger, or doubt. You recognize how your reactions affect your relationships and your progress. This knowledge helps you respond with more calm and clarity. You begin choosing patience over impulsiveness and understanding over frustration. Emotional awareness reduces unnecessary conflict and helps you focus on what truly matters. Reflecting on your choices also helps you understand your long-term patterns. You start seeing the habits that repeat in your life. You notice the opportunities you avoid, the commitments you break, or the goals you start and abandon. These patterns become easier to change when you see them clearly. Reflection helps you identify where you hold yourself back, so you can create strategies to overcome these tendencies. When you address these patterns directly, you accelerate your growth because you stop repeating cycles that keep you stuck. Another important part of reflection is recognizing where you used your time well and where you wasted it. Time is one of your most valuable resources, and understanding how you use it gives you control over your progress. When you reflect on your day, you see which activities contributed to your goals and which distracted you. This awareness helps you plan your future actions with more intention. You start choosing activities that support your progress instead of reacting to whatever appears. When your time is used wisely, your growth becomes faster and more consistent. Reflection also helps you connect with your future self. When you look back at your choices, you see whether you acted in alignment with the person you want to become. You begin making adjustments that bring you closer to that future vision. You stop acting from old habits and start acting from your goals. This connection creates motivation because you realize your future depends on the choices you make today. Reflection helps you treat your future self with respect by choosing actions that support long-term fulfillment, not short-term comfort. Through reflection, you build a deeper understanding of how to move forward with clarity. You stop making decisions based on impulse and start making them with intention. You begin asking yourself questions that guide your growth. What worked today? What held me back? What should I continue? What should I change? These questions sharpen your self-awareness and make your actions more effective. Growth becomes a deliberate process rather than an accidental one. Reflecting on your choices also helps you build inner stability. You become less shaken by challenges because you understand your inner world with more depth. When you know your strengths, weaknesses, and patterns, you navigate difficulties with more calm and confidence. You no longer fear uncertainty because you trust your ability to learn from every experience. This inner stability becomes one of your greatest tools for personal growth. The more you reflect, the more your decisions improve. You start choosing actions that support your goals instead of acting from habit. You become more thoughtful, more disciplined, and more consistent. You understand that every choice shapes your direction, and this awareness strengthens your commitment to growth. Reflection gives you control over your path because it helps you understand the link between your actions and your future. As you continue reflecting, you begin to notice growth happening faster. You learn from your mistakes quickly. You adjust your habits more efficiently. You stay aligned with your values with greater ease. Your awareness becomes sharper. Your choices become wiser. Your direction becomes clearer. Reflection accelerates your progress because it turns experience into wisdom and wisdom into action. Reflection is not a passive activity. It is an active practice that shapes your character, clarifies your goals, and strengthens your mindset. When you commit to reflecting on your choices, you gain the knowledge needed to move forward with confidence and purpose. You stop repeating old patterns and start creating new ones that support your growth. You become a person who learns from every situation and uses those lessons to rise higher. Reflection transforms your life because it gives you the insight required to grow faster, wiser, and stronger with each passing day.